Hey, welcome. So today we're diving into something really fascinating. It's a cosmological model from our source material that asks a big question. What if the universe isn't random? What if instead it's all built on a kind of secret blueprint, just waiting for us to figure it out?
I mean, that's really one of the biggest questions out there, right? Is everything we see just cosmic chaos, or is there some kind of hidden logic, a deep order to reality itself? Well, the material we're looking at today proposes an answer, and it leans heavily into that hidden order.
Okay, so check out this analogy because it's pretty brilliant. Think about the periodic table. Mendeleev mapped it out before we'd even discovered all the elements, right? He saw the system, the pattern. Our source suggests the universe is just like that, a fundamental table of reality, where everything, every law of nature, every single thing has its perfect place.
Now, just to be super clear up front, all the information we're going through in this explainer comes from one specific source, the writings of Xu Feng of Life Chanyan. So everything we're about to explore is drawn directly from that unique perspective on the cosmos.
So, here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about this idea of a universe with rules. Then we're going to journey back, way back, before the beginning, to a state they call Wuji. We'll watch the very first spark, Taiji, appear, see how that one thing becomes two, and finally, we'll uncover what this model claims is the blueprint of reality itself. It's going to be quite a trip.
All right, let's jump in. Section 1, a universe with rules. This is the whole foundation, the core idea that we're not dealing with random chance here, but with a system that's logical, that's predictable.
And what's so wild is that our source says this isn't some new age idea. Not at all. It's an ancient system, supposedly described over 6,000 years ago. You can find echoes of it in texts like the Tao Te Ching, and especially the I Ching, with its really complex system of 64 hexagrams. So we're basically dusting off a very, very old blueprint.
Okay, now for the next piece of the puzzle, we are going back to before the beginning, before the Big Bang, before anything, to a state the source calls Wuji, which is described as the state of all and nothing.
So, what in the world is Wuji? It's a paradox. Try to imagine a state where literally nothing we understand exists. There's no time ticking by, no space to move through, no stuff, not even spirit. It's described as a perfect, absolute void, but at the same time, it holds all the potential for everything that will ever exist. It's nothing and it's everything, all at once.
This is a fantastic way to think about it. You know, we usually imagine space as like a big empty box, and we just put planets and stars inside it. But in this model, no. Space isn't a box that's already there. Space is created by the matter itself. So if you could somehow remove all the matter, the space would just vanish with it. There is no box. Our source points to this quote from the Diamond Sutra to kind of drive home the mind-bending nature of Wuji. It is not the world, and therefore it is called the world. It's that state of is and is not at the exact same time. It's a tough one for our brains to handle, but it's totally central to this whole idea of creation.
All right, so out of that state of perfect nothingness and everythingness, something has to happen, right? That brings us to Section 3, the first spark. This is called Taiji, and it's the emergence of the One.
So this is a great little map of the process. We just covered Wuji, that formless potential. Now we're right here at Taiji, the very first concentration of energy. And next we're going to see how that one thing splits into two, a duality, which then leads to this massive explosion of complexity that we call, well, the universe.
So how do you get something from nothing? The source says it happens by pure chance. Within that swirling, formless chaos of Wuji, some of that energy just happens to align. It focuses suddenly onto a single, infinitesimal point. It's like the eye of a hurricane forming out of nowhere. And that single point, bursting with immense potential, that is Taiji. And now, for the moment everything changes. Section 4, from 1 come 2. This is where that perfect unity splits apart, and our world, a world defined by opposites, is born. This right here is an absolutely critical step. The source claims that as all this energy gets packed tighter and tighter into the core of Taiji, something incredible happens. It becomes self-aware. The spontaneous ignition of consciousness from pure energy, that's described as the birth of God, a conscious, creative force.
So what's the very first act of this new consciousness? It creates duality.
It's called Liangyi. That single unified point cracks open, and out come all the pairs of opposites that define our entire reality. Being and non-being, yin and yang, life and death, good and evil, matter and energy, everything. The one splits and becomes the two.
Okay, this brings us to our final section, the home stretch, the blueprint of reality. How do you get from a simple pair of opposites to, well, everything? The answer, according to our source, is all in a fundamental code.
This visualizes it perfectly. You start with Liangyi, that's two, yin and yang. Then those two combine in every possible way to create the 4 symbols. Then those 4 combine to create the 8 trigrams, which you might know from the I Ching. See the pattern? It's an exponential explosion of complexity, all growing from a simple binary start. 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8.
And where does it all lead? To this number, 64. The 8 trigrams combine with each other to create 64 unique patterns, the 64 hexagrams. And according to this model, these aren't just symbols on a page. They are the 64 foundational factors, the building blocks, that govern absolutely everything in existence.
So here's the ultimate takeaway. The source is claiming that reality is built on a finite set of principles. That's it. Everything, from the laws of physics to the deepest spiritual ideas, things people might call miracles or heavenly secrets, are all just unique combinations and interactions of these 64 basic factors.
And that leaves us with one last, really big thought. If you entertain this idea for a moment, that the universe really is built on a knowable formula, what would it actually mean for humanity to solve it? What would we be capable of if we truly understood the blueprint of reality? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining me.